Welcome to English classes, my dear students. And we have been learning about this beautiful one-act play, Dear Departed. And in the previous class, we learned something about the Slatter's arrangement to bring the bureau down. And in one way, she is insisting her husband also to bring the bureau down. So what do you say, Mr. Henry? So my idea is to have that bureau right when my father is alive. So I'm so fond of that bureau. So what do you say? If we bring the bureau down and put it in our room, so they won't think that it belongs to it belongs to my father. So that's why I want to bring and put it down in my room. What do you say? So before their arrival, just before their arrival, so we should make this arrangement. So here Slatter is asking. So there is no question of requesting. So she is asking Henry's opinion about bringing the bureau and put it in her room. So then Henry is saying, stupefied after listening to Slatter's idea, Slatter's thought. So this fellow's mind is completely blocked. He is unable to think anything other than what Slatter told him. So for few minutes he was totally, his brain was totally blanked. So stupefied. Stupefied means unable to think properly or clearly. So why? Because so after listening to her words, after listening to her ideas, so this fellow had no idea about saying his opinion to Slatter. So Henry, I won't care to. So unable to think properly, finally he gave his answer. So I won't care to, I am not interested in doing it. So what his idea, what his opinion? First of all, you should make an arrangement with Elizabeth. So both of you should talk with each other. So after coming to one final agreement, then only you can take whatever you are interested. So without asking her, without consulting her, there is no question of taking the things. This is what Henry's idea about sharing the property of her father. But this lady is not interested in bargaining with Jordan, because she is also a tough lady. She also never accept her words. So that's why after listening to her idea, so this fellow said, I am not interested. So I won't care too. Mrs. Slatter, don't look so daft. Why not? So why are you thinking like a fool? So you don't think like a fool. Daft means a silly fellow or a foolish fellow. So don't look so daft. So why not? So why shouldn't we bring the bureau down? So why? Don't I have right in my father's property? So why do you say that I am not that you are not interested in it? So why do you think like that? So nothing to worry about, Mr. Henry. So we have every right to bring it and put it in our room before their arrival. Don't think like a fool, Henry. So it does not seem delicate somehow. So it's a very delicate issue. So when you bring the bureau and put it in our room, again you both of you quarrel like anything, fight with each other like anything. So it's a very delicate issue, bringing the bureau and put it in our room. So never should do such type of silly things, Slatter. So it's a very delicate issue. It doesn't seem delicate somehow. It's a very delicate issue in one way. Oh, we could put that shabby old chest of drawers upstairs when the bureau is now, where the bureau is now. Oh, your doubt is whether they find out something. So I have a beautiful idea. What is that idea? Let us put the old chest. Chest means a drawer. Chest means a table. So we could put the shabby. Shabby means dirty, ugly. So let us put the ugly old chest of drawers upstairs where the bureau is now. So bringing the bureau is one thing, and immediately we should place, so there is an old spoiled ugly chest or drawer in their room. So let us put this drawer in my father's room and bring that beautiful old-fashioned costly bureau and put it in our room. So then nobody will get any doubt. So they simply see the drawer, they simply see the table here and there and think that it belongs to us and this old one belongs to my father. So nobody will get any doubt and nobody will object anything. Nobody is there to object us. So my father is already not there. He won't wake up and tell the truth. Yes. So Elizabeth could have that unwelcome. So Elizabeth would have that old drawer. So finally, while sharing the property, I claim for the bureau, and automatically this old drawer will be given to Elizabeth. So then I welcome her. So this is yours, bureau. So this is already mine. How do I introduce this bureau to Elizabeth? So this is my bureau. My husband Henry had bought this bureau few days back. So like that, I claim that bureau belongs to me. So that lady, that poor lady will believe that words, and finally she will get that old bureau as her property, as her share of property. So I will definitely welcome. So you get this old chest. Oh, Elizabeth, you are always welcome. So you have to take that bureau more than me. So you are quite eligible to have that old drawer. So like that, I will also welcome that proposal. So what do you say? So that in that way, the old bureau, the old chest will be given to Elizabeth. And I have always wanted to get rid of it. Get rid of it is another idiom. So what is an idiom? Already I explained in the previous class. Idioms are the words which are used by the native people. Only those people can understand. The outer meaning will be different from that of the inner meaning. And in Telugu also we have many idiomatic expressions. In Telugu we call them as jatiyalu. Understand? So these idioms are very, very important for flourishing and for giving decoration to our language. Okay? Here, get rid of it. Get rid of it means I am always trying to get rid of that bureau. Get rid of it means to be away from that thing. To put it away from me. So I don't like that old drawer. So every time I wanted to keep it away from me. So this is the right chance. So here, Elizabeth herself will request me to give that old drawer, and I wholeheartedly offer that old drawer to Elizabeth. So in that way, I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to quit that bureau from this house. So how is this idea, Henry? There is no word. There is so that fellow stood aghast. That fellow stood astonished before her. So how this type of ideas will come for Slater? He's thinking about that worst and crooked ideas of Slater. Okay, she points to the drawer. So while talking, she points to the old drawer which is before her. Henry, suppose they come when we are doing it. So this fellow is a question mark. So this fellow is a, what we say, question bank. So every time he's getting, when this lady is trying to give some proposals, he's putting a serious question immediately. So what happens when they come while we are shifting the bureau and this old drawer to your father's room? Slater, I will fasten the front door. Okay, this is also a good doubt. So I will do one thing. I will go and fasten. Fasten means close the main door so that they can't come directly into our home. So they should knock the door. So they should knock the door before entering the room. So by that time we can adjust and arrange everything in our room. So I will go and fasten the main door. So get your coat off, Henry. We will change it. So okay, you remove the coat and we shall exchange the drawer and bureau from my father's room. So come on, make it fast. So we should do all these things within a few minutes before their arrival. Make it fast, Henry. You remove your coat first. I'll go and close the door and let us shift the drawer and the bureau. So Mrs. Slater goes to fasten the front door. She goes to fasten the front door. Henry takes his coat off. Mrs. Slater reappears. So after closing the main door, again she reappears on the stage. So all these things are happening on the stage. So we see the characters in the middle of the stage. So she went outside. So we should imagine that she went to close the main door. There is no main door and there is nothing on the stage. So we have to imagine like that. She went for a while and again reappears on the dais. In the meanwhile, we see Henry removing the coat and put it on a chair or table, something. So Mrs. Slater, I will run up and move the chairs out of the way. Okay, so I will go up, I will run up and remove all the chairs and keep some place for putting this old drawer. Okay, so in the meanwhile you try to lift the old drawer to some extent. So Victoria appears. Now Victoria appears, dressing according to her mother's instructions. Now you can see even Victoria wearing the black dress. So as her mother instructed her. So in the beginning we have seen Victoria appearing in the colorful dress. But now even Victoria is also appearing in black dress as instructed by her mother. So before they come, you should also change your dress. What your uncle and aunt think about you, Victoria, go off and change your dress. So like that she ordered her. And she is a very obedient girl. That's why she obeyed her mother's word and appeared with a black dress. So, what have you gone off coat off for father? So after seeing her father, she got a doubt. So what have you got your coat off for father? So why did you remove your coat, father? What happened to you? Till now you wore the black coat and moved here and there. Then all of a sudden, before I went in and came out, so why did you remove your coat? What made you to remove your coat? So what happened to you? Father, please tell me. So mother and I am going to bring grandfather's bureau down here. So this fellow is giving explanation to that small girl. So you know, Victoria, I and your mother are going to bring the bureau from your grandfather's room. So mother and I am going to bring grandfather's bureau down here. So that's why I removed my coat. So she's a very precocious girl, I told you in the beginning. Very intelligent girl, very sharp girl. So she understood the intention of her parents. I think, are you planning to pinch it? Pinching means stealing. So immediately she recognized the purpose of removing the coat, the purpose of bringing the bureau. So are you planning to pinch it, father? So after listening such a shocking word from Victoria's mouth, this fellow stood there like a rock. So he got blocked and stood there like a statue. So how this girl could able to identify or recognize her mother's behavior? So with all these feelings, he should there for a while. No, my child. And he started telling, no, my child, grandpa gave it to your mother before he died. So no, it is not a kind of stealing. So who are we? Are we the cheaters? Are we the robbers? So what is there for us to rob? No, it is not a kind of robbing. So we are simply bringing the bureau as your grandpa has given it to your mother as a gift. So understand? It's a small present given to your mother by your grandpa. So that's why we are bringing the bureau to our room. So shocking, he said, no, my child, grandpa gave it to your mother before he died. This morning. So when did grandpa give this bureau to my mother? This morning? Before his death? Yes. Before his death, he called your mother and said, oh, my dear Slater, so I'm about to go. You take this bureau and put it in your room. So like that, he handed over the bureau to your mother. So this is what the father has given an answer to a child. So we should not try to hide the information from the children. So when you are trying to hide one information, so we have to say so many mistakes, or we have to do so many mistakes. And children, they identify the mistakes done by the elders. And that too, children like Victoria, they easily identify the mistakes. So when did grandpa promise to give this bureau? This morning, father? Yes, this morning only, he said. He was drunk this morning. So he might have given this made his promise when in his drunken state. Oh, I have seen him. So he was in a drunken state at the time. He was drunk this morning. Mrs. Slater appears carrying a handsome clock under her arm. So while these two persons, Victoria and Henry, are talking with each other, again we can see Slater reappearing on the stage, but this time you see Slater holding a clock under her, keeping a clock under her arm. This is arm and putting something under her arm. So when do you put something under your arm? So what do you mean by putting under your arm? So when you are stealing something, or when you are bringing something without others' notice, so in one way it is also a kind of stealing. So we use the word putting under arm. So this lady bought that clock, beautiful clock, from her father's room, and she kept it under her arm, and we can see her coming down from Abel's room. Okay. I thought I would fetch this down as well. Actually, I went to father's room. There I saw this beautiful clock on the table, and immediately after seeing the clock, I wanted to bring it down and put it in our room. So I wanted to fetch it means bring it. So I would fetch this down as well. So along with the bureau, I wanted to put this clock also in my room. So she put it on the mantelpiece. So she kept it on the mantelpiece. Our clocks are worth nothing, as they always appeal to me. So this clock is so beautiful. This clock is a very costly one. So when you compare our clock with that of father's clock, so our clocks are good for nothing clocks. They are not at all worthy clocks before them. That's why I wanted to have this clock also from my father's room. So our clocks are worth nothing, and this always appealed to me. So I always, so this clock is always attracting me. So whenever I go to my father's room, along with this bureau, I also wanted to have this clock in my room. Okay, so that's why when I went to his room, I brought this clock also. So actually, naturally, so these clocks and these bureaus, all these things belong to me. So nothing will get shared to Jordan. So in that way, I bought this clock. Victoria, that's grandpa's clock. So who are you to bring the grandpa's clocks? Hey mom, that is grandpa's clocks. What do you say? Slater, be quiet. It's ours now. So where is the clock? It is in your hand. So then whose clock it is? It is ours clock. So don't talk. Don't be quiet. Shut your mouth, Victoria. So you're talking too much, and be quiet. It's ours now. From now onwards, this clock belongs to us. And come, Henry, lift your hand. Okay, come on. Don't bother about that little girl's words. So have you removed your coat? Yes, madam. I removed my coat. Then lift your hand. So I will also lift the table. Old drawer on my end. So let us put it in the father's room and bring the bureau down. So Henry and Mrs. Slater, very hot and flushed, stagger in with a pretty old-fashioned bureau containing a locked desk. So we can see after some time, you can see Henry and the Slater in a very, very, very hot and flushed. Flushed means somewhat in a very strenuous manner, in a hot manner. So when you lift some heavy objects, so automatically our body temperature also rises. So in a very hot and flushed, staggering means moving unsteadily. So in with a pretty old-fashioned bureau containing a locked desk. So we can see after few minutes we can see Slater and Henry with a old-fashioned bureau. So we should imagine that, all the audience should imagine that they kept the old one in the father's room and brought the old-fashioned bureau into their room. So, and this old drawer is having this, this bureau is having a locked desk. So there are some desks, and these desks are locked. they put it where the chest of drawers was. So exactly they bought it and kept it in the place where the old chest was there, and straightened the ornaments, etc. So after placing the bureau in the exact place where they kept the old drawer, so once again they decorated with a beautiful cloth and arranged the ornaments and things on the bureau, so as to make others imagine that originally this bureau belongs to them. So there is a knock at the door. So after doing all these things, so after keeping the old drawer in the old man's room, and after bringing the old-fashioned bureau to their room, so after decorating it properly, then they heard the knock at the door. The knocking is repeated. So they knocked for the first time. So nobody is there to open it because they are very busy in shifting the bureau and the old drawer. So after some time, the sound was reappeared. It was knocked on the door. Then Victoria ushers in Ben and Mrs. Jordan. So Victoria welcomes. Ushers means welcome Ben and Mrs. Jordan. The latter is a stout, complacent woman with an irritating air of breathe always right. So here the writer is introducing the character of Ben Jordan. Complacent means self-satisfied. So what kind of character do you find in Jordan? The latter is a stout just like a slatter. She is also a very stout and fatty woman, plump woman. Complacent means a well satisfied women with an irritating air of being always right. So if you say something to Jordan, she always feel that she is only right and others are committing mistakes. So what she said is right. Let us do like that. No, I am always right. What do you know about that thing? So you don't know anything. So I am always correct. So like that. So these words and her behavior will irritate others like anything. So here we find some self-satisfaction that she is always right. So in one way we can also say that she is a very proud and arrogant lady with overconfidence. She is wearing an outfit of a new morning. So she is also wearing the morning dress. Ben is also in complete new mourning. So Ben is also wearing a morning dress. He is also completely in black dress. He is rather a jolly little man, but at present trying to adapt himself to the regrettable occasion. So actually the nature of Ben is also a very pretty jolly person. Jolly person means he likes to be happy with others. He never likes to be sad. He is a very jolly person. He always wanted to enjoy his life. Little man, but at present trying to adapt himself to the regrettable occasion. So at present, so what is the occasion? At what time they came to Abel's house or Slatter's house? So at the time when his father-in-law was dead. So it's a very serious issue. So when you go for a serious issue, do you put a happy face or do you put a laughing face? No. We always put some serious face. And sometimes you have to pretend that you are crying before others. So all these things are against the Ben's nature. Ben's nature is a very happy and jolly life. But here he is trying to adopt himself. Adopting means trying to adjust himself, trying to understand the situation. Regrettable situation. What is the occasion? Death of Abel. And now he is trying to put a very, very, very sad face. Very serious face. Which is against his original nature. Mrs. Jordan sails into the room and solemnly goes straight to Mrs. Slatter and kisses her. So after entering the room, so Victoria welcomes them, and simply by seeing the Slatter on the other side, Mrs. Jordan sails means moves or goes straight to Mrs. Slater and hugs her and kisses her. The man shake hands. On the other side, we see Henry and Slater shaking their hands. So this is what we see right now. So by the time they arranged all the things and they prepared everything and waiting for Jordan and Ben, so finally they arrived their house. Mrs. Slater, Mrs. Jordan is asking Slater, well, Amelia, and so he has gone at last. So, well, Amelia, we have been waiting for the old man's death, and finally he has gone. So, what do you say? So, well, Amelia, and so he has gone at last. Do you talk like that about the dead person? So, we not even talk about our strangers or even about our enemies. But these two ladies are talking like that about their own father. At last, he was dead. So do you talk like that about a dead person? I don't understand. So how do you talk? If you don't have any interest or if you don't like that old man, at least we say some sympathetic words. So we show some humanity on others, at least on the dead person. But how this lady is talking, how Jordan is talking to Slater. At last, he has dead. What do you say? Yes, he has gone. He was 72, a fortnight lost Sunday. Yes, Jordan. Finally, he was dead, and he was just 72 years and a fortnight lost Sunday. So by last Sunday, he completed his 72 years, and extra he completed 15 days also. Fortnight means hardly 2 weeks. Okay. He was 72 and a fortnight lost Sunday. She sniffed back a tear. She sniffed back a tear means he is pretending as if she is crying. Yes, Jordan. He completed 72 years and now on fourth night also. What do you say? And finally he was dead. And she is sniffing and she sniffs back a tear. If you don't know how to cry really, so we put our hands before the mouth, before the nose and mouth, and start doing like that to make others feel that you are really feeling sad. But that is not the real sadness. So they are trying to create some sadness. It is an artificial sadness. It is an artificial action. So we have seen. So originally their behavior is entirely different from what you see on the stage. So if you see the inside mind of these characters, they are feeling very, very happy. So right from their words also we learned that, so when this fellow will die, when I get the bureau, when this fellow will die, when I get the share in the property, like that these two ladies are thinking about their father's death. And when they meet together, they are talking as if they are showing utmost love on their father. Nearly he was dead. So I am unable to live. How can I live in this world? With whom I can share my happiness and sorrows? So like that, both of them are acting like anything. So recently we have seen one movie also. In that movie, we see the heroine's inside character and outside character. So are you feeling afraid means? Inside I am feeling afraid. So like that, we can see inside character of Slater and Jordan and outside character of Slater and Jordan. Inside, we see as if they are feeling very, very happy. Yes, father is dead. So nobody is there to share the property. I am going to get the property. Like that, they are feeling very, very happy. But outside, they are putting very serious face and they are trying to cry and trying to show their sadness in their cry. So this is what we see in both these characters. Okay, yes, he has gone. He was 70. When do you count the numbers and dates? So when you are waiting for something, suppose if your birthday is in the next month, so you simply count your dates and months also. So still 24 days are remaining. Still 15 days are remaining. So like that we count the days. So here, this lady is exactly telling the years and the date of days of his father. So he lived for 72 years and 15 days means fortnight. So it means everybody is waiting for the death of this old man. So what happened next, and how this two ladies came to an agreement about their father's death and about their father's property, and what happened next in the drama we shall learn in the coming lessons. Until then, you read the lessons properly and try to enjoy the concept. And until then, goodbye. And one more thing, you stay at home and be happy.